You see, the truth is, no one really cared about Coach fragrances until 2017. And that's when they released Coach for Men. Now let's be clear, that fragrance is a banger. You get a ton of value for the money, and that fragrance continues to be talked about to this day. And since the release of Coach for Men, we saw Coach Platinum, Coach Blue, Coach Green, Coach Open Road, and now we have Coach Eau de Parfum. Let's just hope that this one's better than the others. Not that they're trash, but they've continued to go down in popularity. So let's see if Coach for Men, Eau de Parfum, can save the day. Okay, listen now. The presentation for Coach Eau de Parfum is one that looks pretty sleek. What I do like about this one right off the back is this black and gold. It just looks like something that a boss should wear. Either that or a Wiz Khalifa. Now, when I think of the original Coach for Men, I think of this light, semi-bright fragrance that's good for almost any occasion, and it's aromatic, it's citrusy, and it has a little bit of amber in the base. So, simply by the name, we should get more of that with this scent. Now, to my nose, on first spray, this one's vastly different than the original. Now, while the original Coach for Men starts off bright and fruity and fresh, this one is not so much. This one comes off slightly sweet, has this muted sweetness throughout the top of the scent, and it also has just this dull spice that comes through too. This one feels like a much more mature take on the DNA, but it also doesn't smell very similar. In fact, I would say that this one doesn't smell exactly like the original Coach for Men. This one smells more so like Dior Sauvage Elixir. Don't get me wrong here, this one's not going to have that same potency that you would get with Elixir, but this one's definitely not bad, and it teeters along that edge. After the dull sweetness within the scent, you begin to get some subtle earthiness within there. Now it feels like there's a bit of cedar, it feels like there's a bit of pine here as well, and it almost smells like you've been outdoors, but not in a bad way. It's not the type of outdoorsy where you walk outside and you've been playing outside for a while back in your childhood days. You come in, your mom said, "Ugh, you smell like the outdoors." No, this one just smells like an outdoor statesman, so to speak. Now, earlier I mentioned that this one has a similar feel to Dior Sauvage Elixir. It does, but it's not as prominent, it's not as pronounced, the spice is not as aggressive in this scent. This one's softer, a little bit more subtle, and to me, so far, this one sits a little closer to the skin. Now, when I smell this one and compare it in my mind to Dior Sauvage Elixir, I find it to be interesting because when the original Coach for Men dropped, I said that this could be Coach's take on Dior Sauvage. And for this one, this amped up version in this darker bottle, this one does again stray away from what I felt the original was into something more of Dior Sauvage Elixir-ish. And when I think of Sauvage Elixir versus the original, they smell like two completely different scents. Personally, I think the comparison is going to be a huge win for Coach because they also come in at two very different price points. So for a full price for this one, it's $122. I just picked this one up from Macy's on a sale and it came out to a little under $104. But when we think of Dior Sauvage Elixir, you're going to pay closer to $300 because the retail price for a similar bottle is right around $255. For me, first impression wise, this is going to be a staple within this Coach for Men series of scents. I think if you had to pick up some, you would go for the original and you would go for this one because they really work in two different ways, and obviously I think that that's super important. Well, Coach also did too because they released them both. I would say that this is the one that you wear when you want to be taken a little bit more seriously. And when I think of the others that have released, with the exception of Coach Platinum, which has been discontinued and a little bit more challenging to find, this one here stands out as one of those scents that you would wear when you want to be taken seriously. When I think of the Coach for Men lineup of scents, this is one of those fragrances that I believe would be like the more serious of the bunch. And I think that the original could lean that way, but really when you think of the original, you think of Coach Blue, you think of Coach Green, those are brighter, fresher, cleaner. And Coach Platinum as well as Coach Eau de Parfum really take a different approach. Now, obviously, to me, this is the darker of the bunch. And again, if I'm looking to pick up something from there, this is going to be one of those scents that I lean towards. Now, obviously, this is a first impressions for me. So I've had this one on skin, I've had it on paper, and it seems to be doing pretty well. It has decent amount of projection along to it, but in terms of that real wearing in the real world, I haven't done that yet. So I turned to Fragrantica to see what the people are saying about this so far, and it says that it has moderate staying power. Now, I translate that to about 4 to 6 hours if you're looking for it. Now, what I'll say that Coach has always done is provided good value for the money. Now, obviously, this one is at a cheaper price point inside of the stores, but if you look at discounters, you can find this one at a much more affordable price point than what you would find within stores, making it that much more valuable. So the trade-off in terms of how long it lasts may not be as important. But at any rate, I think that this one is a decent release. It starts off with that subtle sweetness / spiciness, stalled, muted. You go into this earthiness of this scent. It's a little bit more fresh. And then in the base of this scent, you begin to get that amber-like and that leather-like. That Safano leather is within the scent, and that gives it a less of that authentic leather type of feel. So if you're looking for that, that's not what this one's going to be. It's a much smoother, much softer, and easy to deal with if you're looking to dip your toes in that type of scent profile. Let me know down in the comments what has been your favorite Coach fragrance release. If you're looking to see more new releases from 2025, then click here.